Hey, Steve and Jackie. Oh, come on. Just trying to finish up an FT8 contact here before the net starts. A fellow in Oakwood, Georgia. Hey, Steve, I have a question for you. Maybe you can answer on the net. When you plug a set of stereo headphones into the back of your signal link, do you just hear it on one side or the other? Or does it come through as stereo? Mine only comes through on one side of my headphones. I'm just curious as to what it does for you. Okay, good evening, everybody. This is Laird, VE3LKS, and welcome to the COVID-19 Rag Chew, Week 13, Thursday night edition, if you're keeping track. And let's see, that was quite a storm we had blow through last night. And it was funny because 1 second there was no storm, and then the next second it hit with full fury, wind, rain, everything. So it was quite interesting. Anyways, I will take a pause and take check-ins at this time.
VA3, Romeo, Tango, Victor.
Victor Echo 3, Papa Whiskey Juliet.
Well, try it, Steve.
VA3, BTQ.
Victor Alpha 3, Delta Charlie Echo.
Victor Alpha 3, Alpha Golf.
Victor Alpha 3, Tango Papa Sierra.
Now get back and plug some headphones into your signal link, Steve. Okay, very good. I'll tell you what I have so far. Once I scratch my eye, it's itchy for some reason. VA3 RTV Jeffrey, VE3 PWJ Peter, VA3 BTQ Jackie and Scamp, VA3 DCE Doug, VA3 AG Aldo, VA3 TPS Steve. If I missed anybody or anybody else would like to check in, please come now.
VE3, Victor Golf Juliet.
Victor Echo 3, Kilowatt Zulu Tango. Yeah, hi Laird, I need to check out at the same time. Thanks.
Okay, very good. I copy VE3 VGJ Joe and VE3 KZT John. Go ahead, Jeffrey. VA3 RTV. This is VE3 LKS.
Yeah, thanks Laird, and good evening to everybody. And I must check out because I've got a Zoom meeting for my support group starting right now. If it's over soon, then I'll rejoin. Thanks very much, and have a good evening, everybody. VA3 RTV.
Okay, very good. We'll just put Lois on, anyways, and she can handle it while you're gone. Anybody else wishing to check in?
Victor Alpha 3, Bravo Alpha Hotel.
Okay, I copied VA3BAH, but it was a perfect double with someone else. I think that may have been William, VA3WBZ. Was that you, William?
That's Roger. VA3, Whiskey Bravo Zulu.
Okay, very good. Well, we'll go back up to the top of the list, except it won't be Jeffrey because he's taken off on us already. So we'll go up to Peter, VE3PWJ, a very commendable second in line for sure. And I guess tonight the topic, after we spun the wheel, is going to be what year did you get your ticket? And explain what you had to do back at that time to get your ticket, and maybe who the instructors were, and some of your maybe mentors that were around at that time that helped you get your ticket and get you set up on radio. Take it away, Peter, VE3PWJ.
Well, good evening, Larry, and all the good folks you have assembled so far. Well, I got my ticket in 1990. And Rick Gibson, ASH, was one of the instructors, and Jack, VE3SJ, was one of the other ones. And with Code, Roy AAF worked hard with me on Code, and I had lots of fun with that. I'll tell you a story about that one sometime later. And today we went up to the food truck there by Salina, and one of the people that own Mama's has got a food truck in there now, so we had some Greek food there today, Larry, so something different for us. Over to you, Larry, and get some more beans.
Did you say up in Salina or at Salina and Taunton Road?
Salina and Taunton Road there, Larry.
Yes, I stopped there on Sunday, I think it was, on my way home from golfing, and enjoyed it. We always like stopping in there. It's a great little spot, man. You got a little bit of everything. You know, you've got Greek, you've got Caribbean, you've got Mexican, and there's a few others. And to see, there's always a variety for everyone to pick from, and really good food in there. I really enjoy stopping in there when I get a chance. So very good, Peter. And fine business on the Rick Gibson. I actually had Rick Gibson and George Burns. Not the George Burns, but our the George Burns. And he taught the code. Anyways, next on the list, VA3BTQ Jackie.
Good evening, Laird, and everybody online. Got my ticket in 2016. My mentor was Jeffrey. My teacher was Jeffrey, and a chap by the name of Larry. And that's about all I've got. But eventually I do have the information on where the ham shack and ham came from. So maybe on the next go-round. Over.
Oh, perfect, Jackie. That's awesome. And yes, so 19, you said, no, you just got it recently. That's right. Peter said he got his in 1990. So I've had mine one more year than Peter has. I got mine in 89, I believe. So we just missed each other sitting in class there, Peter. And Jackie, we missed each other by quite a while. But, you know, that's great. I'm wondering who Larry would have been. Maybe it was Larry FHG. We'll have to think about that one. I'll have to ask Jeffrey when he gets back. Let's see. Doug, VA3 DCE.
Good evening, Larry, and everybody else on the net tonight. I can remember perfectly well when I got my ticket. Just not exactly the year. I remember it was Fred Bengal over in the library at McLaughlin Collegiate, and it was somewhere in the early 90s. And I can't come up with the exact year because the date on my certificate changes every time you get a new certificate to give you a new date. So you don't ever have anything with the actual date you took your course on. Anyway, it was a drive down from Port Perry down to Oshawa to take that, and it was well worthwhile. Back to you, Larry.
Yeah, I remember the Fred Bengal years, and he taught them quite a few years out of the library over there. He was actually the librarian at that high school. And then I think he actually did it out of his house for a while too. So Fred was very active, and he was always eager to get more people involved in the hobby. And it's too bad he moved away, but I think he's still here in Ontario, not too far from us necessarily, a couple of hours away, but I think he's still active too. VA3AG Eldo.
Good evening, Laird, and everyone on the repeater. Let's see, when did I get my license? Been so long, I can't remember. January 26, 1977. Who was my instructor? Fuad. Fuad, that was his name. I don't remember his the 3CNO sounds familiar. No, it wasn't CNO. Anyway, I don't remember his call, but he was my CW instructor. And then we had a theory instructor as well. And at that back then, we used to go to someone's house for the theory, and someone else's house for Morse code. So, I forget how we did it. But anyway, 1977, January 26th, that's what my certificate says.
Yes, you know what? It's too bad the certificates don't keep the original date on them. They should at least give you the date that call sign was issued on, and then they can put a revised date on it as well. But because I forget what month it was actually that I got my ticket, but I know it would have been in the probably the early spring or the late winter, because that's usually when the course ended. But I can't tell you the date, and I give you points for having the date there, but I think you're maybe reading it off the chart. So, but that's still good. But yeah, I wish they would keep the original date on there and just put revised and then a date on it. So, very good, Aldo. And let's see, VA3 TPS Steve.
I have my original certificate. That's how come I know.
Oh, okay. Yeah, see, and I misplaced mine somewhere in one of the moves, and it's probably packed in a box somewhere, and I'll probably find it another 20 years when I go to throw everything out. Anyways, very good. Steve, VA3 TPS.
Well, good evening, Laird, and to everybody on frequency tonight. February 2005. Peter Henry, and Mike McLean did the Morse code, got my basic code, and they brought in the basic with honors later, after a couple years after. I found the Legion there on Simcoe Street, and it's been a blast ever since. Having a ball, enjoying the hobby. Should have done it years ago, but oh well, that's the way it goes. And Laird, for that information, I believe on the Tigertronics website, it says that the monitor auxiliary and speaker jack use stereo connectors, but they are wired only for mono operation. Signal on the tip, the ring is not connected, and ground on the sleeve, if that helps.
Oh, okay, very good. So when I plug my headphones in, I should only hear it out of one channel then. Perfect. I was just wondering if there was maybe something wrong with it. So I just wanted to double check, and I knew you had one. But thanks for looking that up, Steve.
I've never used it. A couple times I've been tempted to, but I've used the monitor on the radio usually, and so when I'm on digital mode. So back to you.
Okay, very good. Well, we'll keep you around for a little while longer, Steve, because you're a good wealth of information there. Hi. Let's see. Joe, VE3 VGJ. I know what year you got yours, but I'll let you explain it.
Good evening, Laird, and everybody on frequency. Yes, actually, yes, it was with George Burns and Rick Gibson at Eastdale Collegiate. The person who I got the idea from, who was doing it, was Peter Boersma. I forget his call. He, as you know, he has that power. You have the power supply he built for you there. We talked about that before. And yeah, I was partway through it, I believe, and then I dropped out. I had bought the house at that time, and I had enough on my mind going to the courses, everything else, and I finished it up the next year. And I went for my both basic and advanced theory and got it. But yeah, it was a lot of fun. It was a good course they offered there. I met an older fellow there named Alt, and him and I chummed up quite a bit, and I helped him at his house a little bit. And it's funny how I meet different people. But yeah, it was a lot of fun taking that course at Eastdale. And yes, I remember yourself and there's a few others, I think, in the group here who were in the same class. Back to you.
Yeah, lots of fun. For me, it was just down the hill to go to Eastdale, but even so, on a cold winter's night, it wasn't always the most enjoyable, but it was always fun once you got inside. Rick had a way of making the theory come alive and very understandable. And let's face it, if George Burns could teach me 5 words a minute, he probably could have taught a chimpanzee how to do it, because I was no easy study on the Morse code. You know, my disclaimer right off the bat was good luck, buddy. Yeah, but he did it, and they were great guys, and I think they're still in the area. I've tried to get them out to some events sometimes, even if it's just a barbecue, but they haven't been successful yet. So we really need to reach out to some of these guys and see if we can get them back, at least socializing. VE3KZT, John.
Good evening, Larry, and all those on frequency this evening. Well, I got my ticket. I'm not sure exactly what year, but early 70s. And my mentors were Victor Echo 3, Charlie India, Ted Grubb, and V3INO George Cross. Both, of course, are gone to the silent T country now, so there you go. The V3KZT.
Excellent. And back then, you had to have at least some sort of Morse code, didn't you, even to get on some basic operations?
Yeah, my ticket says basic, Morse code and advanced. So I had to have 10 words a minute to get the advanced.
Okay, very good. Yes, I remember back then it was like that, because I know when I got my ticket, they had just changed it. They had just dropped it to 5 words a minute in order to get HF privileges. And even then, HF privileges, it wasn't the whole HF band. I think it was just 80 and 160 and maybe 6 meters. I can't recall, but I never had 6 meters to play with anyway. So, but I remember having all sorts of fun on 80 meters, and me and my tube radio that took half an hour to get stable. But yeah, lots of fun. And it's great thinking back on those days. VA3, BAH, Brian.
Good evening, Lord, and everybody else I've met. And I'll be honest and upfront, I actually couldn't remember. I have a feeling it was around 2005. However, I am so glad that Steve TPS was on the air, because we were in the same class. So Mike McLean, Peter Henry at the Legion on South Simcoe, and your original question was what we had to go through. I think I had to bribe Peter with a lot of beer. Back to you.
Oh no. It came down to that, did it, Brian?
Well, I like my beer anyways, but no, it wasn't that bad. I didn't do the code. There were only a couple of guys in the class that I remember. Steve may correct me on this, that did the code. He was one of them. And I honestly don't think anybody from that class is still around other than me and Steve. That's you.
Okay, very good. Well, we're glad you guys, at least you two guys are around. Now, when you say around, I hope you mean they're just not on amateur radio and that they're not, gonzo, kick the bucket, that kind of thing. But very good. And yeah, it's a good thing Steve is on here so we can remind you when you got your ticket. Let's see. Last but not least, William, VA3 WBZ. Good evening.
VA3 Whiskey Bravo Zulu. Good evening, Mr. Laird and all those on net. Let me see. January 20th, January 10th, 2000 is when I got my ticket. Stayed on the air for quite a while, then I've spent a few years off the end. I got back on a few years ago on that. And haven't looked back, and just, things to look forward to in the future. That's all I'm doing now. Nice day out here. Just looking at the news, all that stuff, and boy, it looks pretty grim out there when some of the stuff is out there. I'm waiting for some good news on the news, but I don't see any so far. I never told anyone I have for a radio equipment. I've got the Icon 5100. I've got the Bluetooth thing for it, and also for D-Star as well. That's in the mobile. And in the house here, I've got the Icon 7000. And I've got a few handhelds, the ST60, the ST50, and an ICOM T7A, which is about 25 years old now, I guess, something like that. That's what I got for equipment. And I'll pass it back to you, Laird.
Oh, very nice. A nice assortment of equipment there, and definitely will meet your needs. And hopefully you'll get some of that on the air for field day and make a few contacts. Field day is always fun, just because it's a contest, but it's not. I know they don't call it a contest, but they give out points for contacts. But it's just fun because everywhere in North America is alive with the sound of CQ. And it's a great time to put your equipment through a good test and to see how well it performs under conditions. So we hope you can get a few rigs out there and get them going for field day, William. And with that, I'm going to take a brief standby and see if anybody else is out there waiting to check into the COVID-19 rag chew. If so, now's your opportunity.
B3HIX. B3XEQ. VE3IRB.
Okay, I copied VE3HIX Bob, VE3XEQ Christopher, VE3IRB Robert, and there was one other station, but I couldn't quite make out the call. A lot of static and a few words. Let's give it a shot again. Okay, I acknowledge VE3CPI. That's Liam, and I believe the other call, I'm still working on it, is VE3 Golf Romeo and then question mark.
That's Glenn here, GAR Golf Alpha Romeo. I'm on my handheld.
Oh, okay, very good, Glenn. Well, whatever you just did there, it kicked it up a huge notch, and you're almost full quieting now. So, don't put your foot down, keep your arm where it was, and don't twitch your nose. And we'll get back to you in just a few minutes. Let's see. So, Christopher, I don't know if you guys have been following. The topic of the evening for the COVID-19 Rag Chew is when did you get your amateur radio license? Who were your teachers? And maybe some of the people that helped you to get your license, may have mentored you a bit, helped you with studying, stuff like that. So VE3XEQ, VE3LKS.
Okay, lad, very, very good. I'll share that with you on the second go around maybe. But I just right now, after the story you told me yesterday on Wacky Wednesday, whatever, you told me about your Gretzky cards and your sister that you love so much. So I have to share with you my what if story. So just give me a minute, and here goes. I'm just going to drop it. Now, what if your sister threw your cards away inadvertently? Go there. And then the garbage man comes and he picks up your garbage and takes them to the garbage dump and dumps your cards and they load in the garbage dump. And there's an old man kind of disheveled and he's pilfering through the garbage dump. Comes across your cards and decides he's going to take them to the pawn shop. And the pawn dealer, realizing the value of the cards, gives him a big chunk of money. You drop it. After he receives the money, he goes home, and for the first time in a very long time, he filled up his fridge and he filled it up his pantry with good fresh food. And then he decided to go out and buy a new set of clothes. The next day, when he got up, he went out and he landed a very good job. As time went by, never losing sight of the windfall that he had, or God, he decided with his wealth he would build a mission, and he fed several hundred people every day. End of story. Now, I know I just put a spin on this story, but wouldn't it be nice if it was true? And so now you can say you got two stories. You can take the what if story, or you can take the angry brother story. But if you really want to get back at your sister, you tell her, after this COVID, give her a big hug and say thank you. Don't ever tell her why. Back to you, Larry.
Oh, very good, Christopher. Always on the bright side of things. I was going to ask you if you owned a pawn shop when you got down to that part of the story. Very good. Yeah, I guess there can be a silver lining to some things, but let me tell you, it's not a silver lining to me at the moment, anyways. Unless we find out that is indeed true. Until then, I guess the jury is out. Let's see who's next on the list. VE3IRB Robert.
VE3IRB. I'm just moving to a position here. I hope you can hear me now. I took my license and got it April 8th, 2016. Alex was a teacher, and through the North Shore Radio Club, a bunch of great group of guys and ladies, and members were in on the course and helped us.
I'm losing you, Bob. Okay, Bob, we lost about the last 20 seconds. We got to the part where you were saying the North Shore group was a bunch of nasty old guys, and that was about it.
Moving around a wee bit. Yes, highly recommended. Back to you.
Yeah, very good. Yeah, we caught up to the part where you were saying the North Shore guys were good, and then it just vanished. So that was okay. Oh, very good. Yes, I remember going to a few of those meetings, doing just little presentations at the time. I think Steve or Dave was president then. It must have been Steve. I think Steve was president then. So, and he's in attendance tonight. It's always nice to have the past president here join us all the time. Let's see. VE3CPI Liam, good evening.
Hi there, operator Liam. Yep. I got my license approximately 4 years ago. I was a CB operator in Ireland, Belfast, and Fastway Radio. And that was my story. I've been licensed, I think, about 4 years. And I have
confirmed 145 countries, which I'm really proud of. Just fascinated about radio signals, just to get to you, and it's the best hobby in the world, VE3 CPI.
Yeah, I'll agree with you there, Liam. And you said you were a CB operator before, and it's funny, one night, I guess it's going back quite a ways in the rag, probably back about 10 or 11 weeks. We discussed that one night, and it's amazing how many of us currently were CB operators that took the plunge and got into ham radio as well. And it's been a lot. It's been a lot of fun. I don't know about you, but man, I've met a lot of really nice people in the hobby. And you say you've made contact with over 150 countries. Are you planning on working field day this year?
I'm not sure. I actually listen to Ham Nation. By the way, guys, if anybody's in the podcast, there's one called Ham Nation. I think this weekend I might try. There's a 2-meter, 70 centimeter DX contest, which I've never done before. I'm not a contester. However, I'd like to work other stations on this frequency, and we'll see what happens. It's just a beautiful frequency, and we'll see what happens. But keep me up to date all through that.
Okay, very good. Well, if you're interested, a bunch of us are doing a Zoom meeting on Sunday night at 7 o'clock. And we're going to be discussing the rules for this year's field day, because normally it's in groups, as you know, and you can have single operators, but you can't collect points if you talk from one single operator to another. But now this year, they're making exceptions for that, and they're also saying that single operators can also apply their total points to a club of their choice. So we're going to get together and discuss that and go over the logging software that we're going to use. And if you're interested, just fire me off an email. And my email is pretty easy. It's just my call sign, which is Victor Echo 3 Lima Kilowatt Sierra at yahoo.ca. And just let me know you're interested in joining in on the meeting, and we'll send you a meeting invite so that you can join us and see what's going to happen this year for Field Day. Very good. Well, thanks for joining us this evening, Liam. It's been a while since we've heard from you, but glad you came back in. VA3 GAR Glenn, how are things going over there in Pickering, Scarborough area? Okay, very, very scratchy. Can barely make you out, but I think you said you were walking around Darlington Provincial Park.
Yeah, that's correct. So I'll just make it the one goal here. I was licensed basic at 5 words a minute in 94, 12 words in 95, and my advanced in 96.
Okay, copy that, Glenn, and very good. And enjoy the evening. It's not quite as bad as it was last night, that's for sure. Well, once you get back to it, on the second go-around, you'll have to give us a report as to what the damage is like over there, because I know here in Oshawa, there's some areas that quite a few trees came down. So we'll look for a report from you on the next go-around as to the possible any trees down over there. And with that, this is Laird VE3LKS, and is there anyone interested in checking into the COVID-19 rag chew this evening before we head back to the top again?
VE3CIU. VE3HIX.
Oh, Bob, did I miss you? I'm sorry. Okay, I acknowledge VE3CRU, and the trophy of the evening for being the amateur radio operator that was skipped goes to Bob, VE3HIX. Bob, you're in very good company, and sorry about that, old man. Take it away.
thing I wanted to say here was I got my first license in 74 at 10 words a minute, my second in 75 at 12 words a minute code, and I was teaching ham radio in the Scarborough Club after that. Actually, I was teaching in 74. I was actually teaching a basic course while I was taking the exam for the advanced course myself. But I left the hobby for several years and came back in 2005. And the cute part is that licensing had changed. So I got a basic license. And I said, what is this? I've already got an advanced license. Here it is right in my hand. And apparently several people did this. So what they did, instead of giving us an advanced license or basic with honors or anything like that, they said, well, anybody who's grandfathered like that gets the same category and the same privileges that they had with an advanced license before. So I have no idea where I am. Everything works, and I have all the privileges for it, but I'm on a basic license. The VE3HIX. Go ahead.
Oh, very good. It's interesting that they wouldn't have plus 5 words a minute on there, because that's what mine has. I've got basic plus 5 words per minute. So although if they had kept the scores, I guess I would have had the basic. What is it now? Basic plus, because I had over 80% on the exam. I think I was like 92 or something, just around 90, just a bit over 90, and then had the 5 words per minute. But interesting how they did that. Bill, VE3 CRU.
Okay, Red, VE3CRU here. First of all, my apologies for being late getting in. I was so intent on getting on the internet and putting in a posting about this weekend's contesting activities because I had to tell everybody that look for a newbie in there called VE3LKS, that he may be in there performing wonders there, and you just never know what's around the corner. But anyway, as I say, I did get some information in, and as far as about getting your first license, I would expect would refrain from doing so, because if I told the truth, I'd have to be very nasty about somebody that was claimed to be involved. So as I say, I'll just plain let it go at that, because they say I was extremely active for 10 years, and then out of it for 35. But and I say I was unlicensed way back when with the original VE3CRU. But he died in 2000. My wife died in 2001. So Friday, December 13th, 2002, I got up and I did my code first, and then I did my basic, and away we go. I had trying to make up for 35 years of not being in ham radio. My wife, little did I realize, had more control and kept me out of it. Anyway, back to that.
Oh yeah, well, family can do that, Bill, and it's understandable. I know when I first got mine, we didn't have kids. Shortly thereafter, we did. So for about a good 10, maybe 15 years, I was still a member, but I wasn't what I would call super active. I know some of the older crusty guys would take pot shots at us young guys with families and complain that we weren't helping out with the club as much as they thought we should. But you know what, you just chalk it up to being old and crusty. And but yeah, you got to put your family first, and that's the way it should be. And now that the kids are all done school and more or less on their own, you can get back into radio again. And that's what I've done. Very good, Bill. Let's see. And yeah, and very gracious of you to protect the guilty there, whoever that may be. VA3 RTV Jeffrey, are you back from your conference call? Okay, nothing heard. But if Lois is in the same room that Jeffrey's in and the radio happens to be on, Lois, you can pick up the microphone and talk to us as long as Jeffrey's there. Okay, nothing heard from Lois either. So very good. Next on the list, VE3PWJ Peter.
Yeah, a lot of nice folks there tonight. Lots of information back and forth when people got their tickets. That's really interesting. And I'd never heard that storm last night, but it did me a bit of damage. It broke my G5 RV off the top up by the rotor, so that sort of puts that thing out of commission, I guess. I'll climb any tower, Larry, as long as I got 1 foot in the ground high. So go ahead and bring the rest of the fellows in, and we'll listen along there, Larry.
Yeah, I've got the same problem with towers, Peter. They're never short enough. Hi, and very good. So, did you have it tied off with a rope up there, and could you raise it up and down, or is it just secured right to the tower?
Well, I've had the same problem before. I probably should not do it the way we did. It's got a wood dowel up there with a hook in the end of it. No matter how much stuff you put on it to preserve it, doesn't matter. It'll eventually break, and that's what it did. The G5 RV is all together, but it's just sort of hanging off by the ladder line up just underneath the rotor there.
Okay, very good. Yes, maybe have to get Joe imagineering something for you there, and even just maybe a piece of PVC. And with an eye bolt, that's what I do. I've got, what do I have? I know it's got an eye bolt in it, and then I've got paracord through that, and I got enough so that I can drop my antenna right to the ground if I have to, and still have paracord left. I can pull it back up again. Let's see, VA3 BTQ Jackie, and so I guess the second round is open for anything.
Hi, Laird. Okay, here we go. The room housing the equipment is the ham shack. The most popular projects in the ham shack are acquiring accessories. Ham radio is the amateur radio use of radio frequency spectrum for non-commercial messages. A popular term for amateur first appeared in the U.S. in early 1900s. It is a popular hobby and service which brings people, communications, and electronics together. In 1908, 3 gentlemen by the last name of Hyman, Olney, and Murray collected together to form the ham. Over.
Very good. And so hence the term ham shack. I like that part about collecting gadgets or something like that. That was very good. By the way, if you're online, don't look over here. Go look somewhere else. Yes. And it sounds like Joe, though, VGJ, he just went out and bought a ham shack. He didn't buy a house. He bought a ham shack. We'll have to ask him about that when it gets down to him. VA3 DCE, Doug.
Yeah, back here again, Laird. I was just remembering that I started this amateur radio thing back in the early 60s, but it then died out for about 30 years and never finished off the license till in the 90s somewhere, so I'm just a slow learner, I guess. Anyway, I got nothing else to add. It's a beautiful day out there now. I went out for a ride this morning on my bicycle. The wind was about 50 kilometers per hour. I think I had a tilt about 30 degrees off center, and then it started to rain. It was not a good day. Anyway, back to you there.
Oh, that's interesting because I don't think we got any rain down here in Oshawa today. We got it all last night. But when the storm hit, it was amazing. I forget what time it was, maybe 10:30. And everything was still. And then it's just like a freight train roared through the yard, man. Just as fast as that. All of a sudden, just whoosh. The wind, the rain, everything. It hit all at once and with the fury. Luckily, I didn't have anything come down. All my antennas are still up. And I did get worried last night, and I did tiptoe down the stairs when I heard the first roll of thunder, and disconnected my antennas because I knew I would never live it down if something got fried. You guys would just laugh at me. There'd be no sympathy. And so all is good here too as well, Doug. But it's nice having the balcony where you can sit there and watch all that. Very good. Let's see. VA3AG, and it's a bit too early for Din Din, so all those should still be with us.
Yeah, it's almost that time, and I just did a return of my Nano VNA because it's not working. It's not behaving the way it should behave. The screen is not reacting to the touch. It doesn't work with the software. So Joe was giving me a hand with it today, and he wasn't able to get it to work either. So I'm just packing it up. I just printed the label. I got the box, and I'm putting everything together and taking it over to the post office for tomorrow.
Okay, very good. Well, I shouldn't say very good. That's very bad. But at least you'll be able to get it replaced. Was that on Amazon?
Yeah, Roger. It was Amazon. They'll refund me the money, and I guess I have to buy another one.
Okay, good. Hopefully it'll be in before field day. And yeah, it's interesting. I've had a few things on Amazon. None of them are really Amazon's fault. But I ordered a blinker for my wife's vehicle, like the inside on the steering column, the blinker unit. It's the arm, the blinker, the high beams, low beams, everything. You could turn it on, but once you made your turn, you had to manually turn it off. And so I ordered one, and it came in a bag that had the exact part number on it, and it was a GM part bag. It wasn't like a third brand, no name brand, but it had the wrong part in it. So I had to ship it back and told the guy what happened. And the next one came in the same bag, the same part number, and it actually had the real part in it. So something happened in the parts manufacturing that something got messed up. But that happened just recently, but I'm all good now. So unfortunately it happened to you, Aldo, but keep up hope, because once you get it, you'll love it. VA3 TPS, Steve.
Okay, very good, Larry. Well, I don't have much else to add. The wind is finally starting to die down up here at the lake, so it's been pretty windy all day. That part of the day cleaning up branches and stuff that came down during the storm, but other than that, there's no damage. So that's always a good day when you don't get any damage from a storm. So I'll be listening to the end, and I'll be celebrating everybody, and have a great night. VA3TPS.
Excellent, Steve. And your dock is not 3 doors down at a neighbor's place?
No, we're good. My son was at the boats up on the neighbor's boat lift, so he gets his tomorrow, so then we won't have to worry about his boat.
Excellent. Well, I'm glad you survived the storm up there, and hopefully there's many more just beautiful evenings where you can sit out on the deck, on the dock, and have a nice little cool beverage and enjoy the sunsets. VE3 VGJ, and Joe, yes, I guess when you got your ham ticket, you bought your ham shack.
I'm not sure what you mean by that, Laird. I just used to have that one old desk and the stuff on top of it, and then I did enough of this, it went, and then I sort of built a prototype desk here, and it's working out pretty good. Come the fall, I'll probably finish it off nicely and then paint it up. But it's a lot of fun. Again, I like making a lot of stuff for the ham radio stuff. Interesting, I was testing out a little antenna there outside, and I was getting some funny readings off the Nano. Ended up the coax cable was weird. If I did the measurement using the Nano, it was 2 feet when I put the connector on one end and 22 feet at the other end. So something's wrong inside that cable, maybe the conductors or something. And also, Bob there, you got a trophy there for being missed. I've got 4.5 of those trophies. 4 of them were real time. I was actually missed. The half one was, he said he did it on purpose to see if he can get a reaction or not. So I think I got the record at 4.5. Back to you, Laird.
Oh my goodness. It's pretty bad when the when the troops are keeping count as to how many times they were missed and taking great pride in it.
Yeah, we keep you track. You'll never forget it. You'll never forget it.
Yeah, who knew this stinking COVID thing was going to last so long? I figured, you know what, 3, maybe 4 weeks and we'll be out of this and I won't be doing this every night. 13 freaking weeks later, and here we go. We're still doing it on the verge of our 14th. Anyways, let's see who's next in line here. VE3KZT, John.
Oh, good evening, James. I am late. You're fully up. Your video is all froze up there. You must have paid your rent. There's nothing more to add, except I'm still looking for someone that might have a connector that goes from NC and also SO239. Back to that, VE3KZT.
If anyone else has got YouTube on and can verify that I'm frozen up, maybe I'll just shut it down because no sense starting it up again. I don't think there's any YouTubers specifically on there tonight anyways. Okay, Scotty's on there. Maybe he's going to be joining us, but we'll see in a few minutes. And Joe says it's good there. So you may have to exit out of YouTube and go back in there, John. And it may be just on your end coming in. And this weekend, my YouTube I'll be down probably for about 3 to 4 hours on Saturday afternoon / evening. They're putting fiber optic into my house, so I'll be switching over from Twisted Pair at 50 megabits per second up and 50 megabits per second down and 8 up to 150 down and 150 up, and it's going to be cheaper for me. Go figure. Anyways, who's next here? VA3BAH, Brian.
Well, thanks again for another kick at the can, and interesting listening to everybody's story about how they got into it or when they got into it. I'm going to put a spin on it. First radio I bought a handheld from Will Scuda, and my first TNC I got from Howard.
I was going to say Howard.
And, first tower was from you. Back to you.
Oh, very good. And do you have any of said equipment still?
Well, unfortunately, the tower that I got from you got stolen.
Oh, no.
I was living up in Brooklyn and had some issues with my landlord. But I still have the Alinco that I bought from Will, and I still have the TNC that I got from Howard. Back to you.
Okay, very good. Interesting. Yes, it's I forget what the first radio that I bought, I think it's a toss up between my Kenwood TR7600 that I bought at Hamvention, but I think I had already bought one before that. I think I bought a TH28 handheld before that. So yeah, very interesting, Brian. And if you're looking for a 40-foot self-supporting tower and are willing to take it down, there's one for free here, but you got to do it within the next couple of weeks. Anyways, let's see who's next. Don't want to forget Bob again. VE3HIX. He'll run me over with his scooter.
Love to. However, I'm back to work and no time to come out and get it. But thanks for the offer. Doubling.
Yeah, I think we doubled there a bit, maybe, but I think what you were saying is you would, but you're working, so you have no time. No, not a problem. Let's see. Next on the list, Bob, VE3HIX.
Oh, thanks, Larry. The two things I just wanted to mention. One was the storm last night. About 10:30, I thought it was hail coming down as I was going to bed. Quick look outside to see if my car was damaged, and it was branches smacking on top of the not the car, but on the roof of the house. and the deck. So I spent many hours today cleaning this place up and using a chipper shredder and so on to get some of the bigger branches. Two of them are so big that I'll have to cut them up with a chainsaw and use them for firewood. But the place is back in shape again. The other thing I was just kidding with Jackie about the ham shack. First of all, a shack is an old expression used for a separate building, a minimalist type building used for equipment like railway safety equipment and so forth. Ham, from what I understand, was from professional telegraphers, radio telegraphers called amateur telegraphers, ham-fisted, meaning ham-fisted on the Morse code key. So now that shack has been replaced by shed pretty well, the term shack is a derogatory term for somebody's house that isn't very nice, and ham is a derogatory term for an amateur radio operator who can't send Morse code very well. So they're both derogatory terms. Have you ever heard that one? VE3HIX.
Oh, the plot thickens. Yeah, I knew there was several different options for the word ham, to which no one can come up with a conclusion. And shack, well, I guess I fit both of those molds for the derogatory way. Very good, Bob. Neat information. And maybe someday we'll learn the truth. The truth is out there. Let's see. VA3WBZ William. VA3WBZ William.
VA3WBZ William here. Well, not sure what's going on with me, fellas. I got a busy day tomorrow. Kind of a busy day today there. Lollygagging a bit, bit of shopping and stuff like that, but that's about it. Don't know if I'm planning that for the weekend. Oh, yes, I do. I got some shopping to go and do the weekend as well. I'm going to say 7-3s, guys, and hopefully I'll be able to talk to you tomorrow night, depending on what time I get home. If not, he'll be next week. I'll talk to you guys. VA3 WBZ, clear, and stay safe, everyone.
Excellent. Well, thanks for joining us this evening, William. And if you're interested in that Zoom meeting on Sunday evening at 7, just fire me off an email and we'll add you to the invite list. Let's see. Who's next? Christopher, VE3XEQ. I'm afraid to let him have the microphone again because you'll probably make me feel guilty yet again.
Okay, Laird. Well, I was intending to, because you gave me a story about, the hateful brother with the sister, and, so I had to try to make you feel a little guilty. Hope so. Anyway, I was licensed in 1972, and I was taught, I had the 10 words a minute plus the test, and then the next year I got my advanced at 15 words a minute and the test. When I did the test, they gave me a balance modulator circuit to do. So I made it all nice and neat. It was really nice. I was even complimented on how well I did it. And then the instructor proceeded to ask me, okay, tell me what it does. I started giving him all the voltage values and everything, and he kept nodding his head. Yeah. He said, now tell me what it does. I don't know why. I couldn't figure out what he was trying to get at, and he failed me. So I had to go back. All he wanted to hear was that audio, as it put it, from the one side of the diode, and there's a signal that adds to the audio, and that's the only time there's a signal there, is when there's audio present. Stupid me. Then I had to go back and do the high voltage power supply, which was no problem. Well, I was taught the Morse code by VA3 GCS, George Charlton Stone, White Kaner, who is now Silent Key. And isn't that kind of apropos to be taught by a White Kaner and end up being a White Kaner myself? Such is life, they tell me there, Larry. I'm going to drop it one sec. And when I got my advance, I ran straight out to the store and I bought a brand new TS520S Kenwood. And I've owned the 520, the 520S, the 520SE, as I said the other day. And I was so proud to be able to have a brand new radio and be able to operate on any band I wanted to. It was wonderful. And in the early 70s, man, the bands were hopping like crazy. 10 meters was alive and wide open. It was hard to find a spot that you could talk to somebody without somebody else loading up on you. That's how busy the bands were. Don't know what's happened to them. Don't know where it's all going. So I'll say 7-3, Laird. Thank you very much for giving me a chance to keep the mic again. You take care and give it some thought on the what if story.
Yeah, Christopher, if I ever miss you, it's not because I've forgotten to. It's intentional. It's self-defense. Oh, very good. And always glad to have you with us on the net in the evenings. And you always lighten things up. And part of the problem with the radios nowadays is could be this what is it, 11-year cycle. Well, we went into an 11-year cycle about 20 years ago, and we've never come out of it. And because I remember at one point where you, as you said, you could get on any evening on any band, and you could talk all night long if you wanted to. And it hasn't been that way for a long time. And I don't think it's because of lack of operators. I just think the band conditions have been sucking for so long that they never came out of that cycle. It's like the radio wave. We got half the wave in, but not the other half. It sort of fell off somewhere, and so we're still in limbo. VE3 IRB, Robert.
Not a lot to add this time. I've got another meeting coming up, so I'll say 73 and throw it back to you.
Okay, very good, Bob. Are you leading out in a Zoom meeting on home cooking classes?
No, not tonight, but if there ever is one, maybe I should listen. Back to you, VE3 IRB.
Okay, very good. I always like your Facebook posts when you're posting the delicacy of the evening from the household over there by the hospital. Let's see, VA3 GAR Glenn, are you back with us?
Yeah, VA3 GAR, do you copy me okay?
Yeah, it's a bit scratchy, but as long as you stay right where you are, we will be okay.
Okay, very good. Yeah, I walked around the park. No major damage, just a few branches lying around.
Okay, I think I caught most of that, Glenn. You said you'd walked around the park. There was no major damage, so that's good. And then we just lost you about the last 2 or 3 seconds of your transmission there. But excellent. Glad to hear that. And I guess, has anyone heard when the provincial parks are opening again? I know they've loosened off some more of the restrictions, but of course down here in the GTA, it's like laws in Canada. You have a law in Canada that says, this, and this, except in Quebec. And right now here in Ontario, it's, you can do this. Oh, except if you're in the GTA. Let's see if Glenn's back in a bit better spot. We'll get the last little bit of his transmission.
I believe they're going to open some campgrounds this weekend.
Oh, okay, very good. And do you go camping quite a bit, Glenn, or are you just like going over to Darlington to have a nice stroll? It's a nice place to go, especially when you come in through the GM area there.
Yeah, I get a yearly permit there, and as in my travels around the province, I stop off at this park, that park, so I have the permit. I can go anywhere. So I don't do much camping nowadays, but I used to. But the one thing I didn't like about tonight is all the washrooms are closed. I finally found one, but we've got all these people in there,
and and they got all the washrooms locked, so it was kind of a challenge.
Yes, understandable. And, one isn't too bad, but the other one could be a challenge. So very good. Yeah, and that's a great idea, having that yearly pass. Sorry. Um, I know we used to go we used to go camping up at Silent Lake a lot when the kids were smaller. And at that time, and it may still be, but when you were camping, your permit was still good for any other provincial park for the rest of the day. So we would leave Silent Lake at like around noon and then head down to Petroglyphs and go in there and do some hiking in that. And they had quite a, I like that lake in there. That's like a turquoise color from all the minerals in it. But very good. Glad you've got a yearly thing, and you can gain access to all those places.
Yeah, it's very enjoyable because you can go into any park, check it out instead of having to pay a day permit just to satisfy your curiosity. So I can go in and out, and yeah, I really enjoy it. Anyways, I got to get out of here now. 7-3, everyone. VA3 GAR.
Okay, very good, Glenn. Nice chatting, and glad you joined us this evening on the COVID-19 Rag Chew, and enjoy the rest of the evening. VE3 CRU, Bill.
Okay, VE3CRU here, looking north at the A3GAR's apartment building. Good to hear him on there. Okay, first and foremost, White Feather Farms. I plan on going up there this Saturday morning. I don't know if the A3 RTV will be there or if the E3 IRB will be there, but I hope somebody will be there if they're not there to be the mule for me and take some stuff I've got here for them, because I need room in my vehicle to put more stuff in, especially to take more stuff up, and some of it is estate stuff from the original VE3DKW. I've got some of that to go up, but as I say, lots of nice little goodies, but other than that, as I say, I hope everybody has a great weekend, and my only reminder is on the weekend, from 2 o'clock Saturday on, if you're able to get on 146550 Simplex, get on there, make noise, and see who comes back to you, because a lot of people, rovers, are monitoring that frequency while they run around operating out of. And you never know, you might get somebody across the lake in Rochester, you might get somebody close by. Anyway, good luck to everybody. We'll maybe see you Saturday morning. VA3, wait a minute, VA3, LNX, VA3 CRU, often to get a drink.
Yep, both VE3 and VA3 work, but it's LKS. But I knew what you meant, Bill. And yeah, go get yourself a little drink there and calm that throat down a bit. Very good. Yeah, there'll probably be a crew up at White Feather again. There normally is. People have gotten in the habit of getting some groceries up there every weekend and supporting the local business during this, which is good. I'm not sure whether they're hurting or not with this COVID, but it's always nice to support local. And a lot of their products that they have in there are local as well. And when I say local, they may be, from outside of the Durham region, but they're local to Ontario, and small businesses. Other small businesses are not the big, conglomerates as such. So, and let me tell you, there's this one company there's got some wicked good chicken pies, and Scotty could affirm that if he was on the radio, but he's only on YouTube tonight. Although I guess it's sort of nice having him on YouTube. No, I miss Scotty. Scotty, get your radio on. Anyways, we've reached the bottom of the list, so I will take a standby and see if anyone's out there is willing to pick up their microphone, push the talk button, and make a contact with the COVID-19 Rag Chew. If so, please come now. This is Laird VE3 LKS.
VE3IGX.
Scotty, you came off of YouTube for me. We acknowledge VE3RPN and VE3IGX. So the topic of the evening is the first topic was what year did you get your ham ticket, and who were your teachers, and maybe who were some of the people who sort of poked and prodded you and helped you, study to get your test, to pass your test, and then anything else you want to add comments to. So Scotty, take it away. Good to hear you.
V3LKS, V3RPN. Yeah, I fell asleep kind of waiting there, and I thought, well, I woke up, I thought, it can't be Friday already. Just kidding there. Anyway, oh my goodness, well, I got my license, and you didn't tell me I needed a license for this. Just kidding, buddy. No, I got it in 2000 there, the big year, the big 2000. And it was in September that it finally arrived. And, it was KD5BPY was my mentor, my deceased stepfather-in-law in the States there. And he was quite the buff on CW. Of course, he, in Vietnam and all that, he was a radio guy. So he just threw a book at me and told me to study as I was moving my brother-in-law from Ohio to California. Anyway, we studied. We asked a lot of questions. We came back, and we met some of our friends, and they set me up with a sergeant in Toronto. He was a mean son of a gun, I'll tell you. He failed his own mother, and she didn't get 90%. I was shaking in my boots. I had to take all my sticky notes off my legs. Anyway, I can't think of much else there, buddy. I was having a good steak dinner with that nice white feather farm sauce on it. Man, that's good. Anyway, over to you there. That's probably the most exciting. And 202 was my first radio. The good old realistic there. Thanks, buddy.
Yeah, Scotty, you probably don't remember this, but I remember seeing your car on Christie Avenue. When you were making house calls, you would go to a house right next to where my parents were, and the odd time I'd be over there visiting them, and I would see a car out on the road. You're always parked on the wrong side of the road, too, right next to the no parking sign. But I noticed that it had a ham plates on it. So, and of course, with your call sign, I put two and two together and figured out that you were there to provide some medical assistance. I think her first name was Elsie, and that's all I'll say. But I remember seeing your car, but I never ran into you. Either you were there when I got there and you were gone when I left, or vice versa. So I never got to see you then. But I do remember seeing your car there.
Oh my gosh, you got me blushing now. Yeah, I know where that is. Actually, I had my plates on an Oldsmobile. I don't know if that was the one you saw me with, or like I said, or it could have been this beast here. I've had this for quite a while. So either way, I don't know. Took the plates off. I kept them brand new, and I should put them back on again. But actually, the wife owns the car, so she does the car, and I take care of the house. There's a good deal. The car's been paid off for so many years though since we bought it, so it's not a good deal for me. Anyway, just kidding. And yeah, I remember now. That's got me blushing. And she's a great person to play CPR doll with. And I did park in no parking. I got to admit that too. When you know the superintendent, it kind of helps. Over to you there, right neck control there, VE3RPN.
Oh, this was right on the street. This was a little side street. Over by Simcoe and Roslyn. So, but all sorts of people did it anyways. But I always thought it was funny because there it is right next to the no parking sign. Anyways, last but not least, Cam, VE3IGX. Good evening. Did you just get in from playing golf?
Good evening, Laird, and everyone on frequency. No, I did just get in, but it wasn't from golf. I had golf at 7:30 this morning. Got my ticket in 1976. Don't remember any of my teachers, because I'm lucky to even remember what I had for supper last night. But we did have an Englishman that taught us the code, and we used to go to his place every Saturday morning for a couple hours practicing. And he used to tell us the time the Air Force would
put out a code at 40 words a minute once a year, and that he was always loving to copy all that. And I'll drop it here because I have another question for you. Okay, I want to know if you got an email from Scott Davis, the N3FJP software, and it was regarding field day clarifications and frequently asked questions that people were trying to find out. And he talks about if you're in a club and you're within that 1,000-foot level, that you would use your own club. Everyone would use your own club call sign. And if not, you operate under your own call. And he says you will not, and it's capitalized, combine your logs. Aside from agreeing on a club name, that everyone would put in their own log, and they would put in, when on the entry form, they would put in the club's name, and just to make sure that everybody was putting the same spelling for the club. But give it on back to you. VE3LKS, VE3IGX.
Yes, I did receive that. It must have been like one of those just mass mailings that he did. And I think that's what we decided upon anyways. As a matter of fact, we're sort of going to take it one step further. And I don't think we're individually going to submit our logs. We're going to just email Darren the actual log file. He will submit it with our name, and then he will put in the club name as well, so that they're all identical as far as the club name goes. But which reminds me, though, I'm glad you brought that up, Cam. We are having a Zoom meeting on Sunday night at 7 p.m. So if you want to be involved with this Zoom meeting, please send me an email. I will be sending out the invite tomorrow. Please don't wait until Saturday or Sunday and just trickle in on emails because I may not catch it in time. Quite often on the weekend, I don't check my email all that much. So if I don't get your email until about half an hour before the event, like if I don't go in and read it until half an hour before the event, you may not get on. So I'd highly encourage you to do it sooner than later. And I'll send out an invite tomorrow, and I'll send out a link to the video too that tells you how to install it and use it so that you're more prepared when we have our meeting. And with that, I will take a quick standby and see if anybody else would like to check in this evening. This is Laird, VE3LKS. Okay, nothing heard. Does anybody have any further questions or comments regarding anything that was discussed this evening or that you would like to bring up?
VE3IGX.
Not you again. Take it away, Cam.
Okay, when you did send out the notice that you were going to have it, I did send you an email back, but maybe it got lost in the virtual world, but I will send you another one. Or
oh, I think I got yours, Cam. I was just sort of making making a sort of a blanket statement for anybody who hasn't sent it in yet. I did receive quite a few of them. I think we're up to about 10 or 12, which would be great if we get that many coming out for field day. But it was just more of a statement for anybody who may be sort of vacillating whether they want to come or not, to do it sooner than later. But I do believe I did get yours, so you're good.
okay, one other thing. At the White Feather Farms on Saturday, we'll be legally able to have 10 in a group. How about that? VE3LKS, VE3IGX.
Ooh, excellent, excellent. And so instead of having 2 groups of 5 or 3 groups of 5, we can now have 1 group of 10 and 1 group of 5, or 1 group of 7, 1 group of 8, or the numbers go on and on and on. Oh, very good. That's good to know. I heard they were loosening up some of the border crossing too, although typical government, they never make it too clear. They mentioned that people coming into the country to visit relatives. They didn't mention anything about people that may want to go to the States to visit relatives. Because I know my wife wants to go down to visit her mom this summer, and so but they didn't cover that scenario. So I'll have to wait to see if they bring out clarification on that, because she'll be done work here in a week, and she can go down for the rest of the summer. And oh shucks, that would leave me here all by myself to play radio. That would just be horrible. And go golfing, Cam. I'd have to golf a lot during the summer if she wasn't here. That'd be terrible. What do you think?
Yeah, that would definitely be terrible. To go out and enjoy yourself like that while she's out traveling on all the stress on the highways and that, and getting across the border. So anyway, I will say 73s to everybody, and we'll probably catch everybody tomorrow night. So DE3LKS, DE3IGX.
Excellent, Cam, and thanks for bringing that up. So it flashed something in my memory before we shut down for the evening. And does anybody else have any questions or comments before we call it quits? Go ahead, Brian.
So just to clarify, you're not going to invite everybody in the club to the Zoom meeting on Sunday. We have to tell you that we're interested in attending. Is that correct?
That's correct, because it's not our normal club meeting night. It's just an added meeting that we're doing to fill everybody in on the field day, the sort of the regs, the changes that the ARRL made for this year's field day, and to give an overview of the logging software that we're going to be using that the guys have been buying. I think it's like $12 Canadian, and we're going to have a little demo on that, on how to install it and how to use it.
Okay, roger that. And it's the N3JFP software that you're using. Is that correct?
Yes, that is correct. So if you or any of the guys in your club want to join in, by all means, feel free to let them know. Don't put it out on the Canada-wide again, because we are going to be talking. It'll probably be boring for some people because we are going to be discussing how our club is going to handle it. So people may get really bored with that. But if any of your club guys want to be involved, or you too, feel free to send me an email.
Well, I'm just thinking out loud that good ideas are there to steal. I mean, sure. And that's why I was thinking of being there. And by the way, I already used the AC logger, and I think it's about 5 years ago now. I think I only paid about $40 US, and that gives you access to every program that he writes with continuous long updates. Back to you.
Yes, we're aware of that, and I'd be tempted to do that, but I've already got other logging software that I use in other applications. So, and some of the other guys are in the same boat. So, but we decided we would all sort of cough up the $12 for field day. It wasn't that major of a cost, and we would all at least have the same software, so that our field day manager isn't pulling his hair out trying to figure everything out.
Yeah, well, that makes perfect sense. I think at the end of the day, they all write it to a Cabrillo file anyways, but certainly easier using the same software. And he's got a group as well, actually two of them on IO groups, and there's always support available. So I already have the software, but I wholeheartedly endorse your thought on that. Back to you.
And I wholeheartedly endorse your thoughts on the thoughts that I had. So there you go. Very good. Yeah, it's going to be more of an information session. Like it's not, we're not gonna dive into all the gory details of it, but basically show the guys how to install it, set it up, put in the proper configuration for our area, and show them how to use it. You know, how to change bands, how to change modes, you know, how to see which areas you've worked. Then you can show it on a map as well, and just stuff like that, so they're all familiar. So that when field day comes around and we're operating field day from 10 or 11 different places, it's going to be a lot easier for them. They'll be familiar with it. It won't be something new that they have to worry about on that day.
Yeah, very good. And my own experience with his software is that I found it very intuitive. A little bit of a pain if you've already got an existing version and you're upgrading to the newer version. You've got to uninstall the existing software on your computer and then download the update. It doesn't just download and update over top of the original version, but a small price to pay for something that's simple. And I'm a simple guy. I like to keep it simple. Back to you.
Yes, we've heard that about you, Brian, and I didn't want to bring it up, but since you did, I don't feel bad piling on there. Hi. Very good. Well, again, if you or any of your fine club members want to join us, by all means, we're open. And it's almost like we're becoming almost like sister clubs anyways. It's just too bad about this COVID thing, because it would have been fun to get together and check out some museums down there in Kingston this summer. And then on the other hand, we could have hosted you guys here in Oshawa at the Tank Museum. So maybe next summer we'll be able to do that and form more of a bond between the two clubs.
That would be so cool. We could have a twinning ceremony.
Oh no, are you saying that we look like twins?
Although I am not on YouTube tonight, I have seen your haircut. And by the way, tomorrow's my first pay since getting back to work, so I'll be sending you some money via e-transfer.
Oh, very good. No rush on that. If you've got more important things to cover off, we more than covered the software, so we'll be putting it to other good use, mind you. But we had a very good response to that, and the guys came through with flying colors. And I thought we were going to be lucky if we got enough to cover a year, and I think we've got enough. Well, we had enough to cover the year plus more, so it worked out well. And by sounds of it, we'll probably still get some good use out of it. And the nice thing is like when we have these other things like this meeting to cover off on the software, we can do it and not have to worry about it. Anyways, let me get back to the net just for a second to see if anybody else had any questions or comments before we shut it down, and then we can chat a bit more, Brian. So sorry about that, everybody else, but if anyone else has any questions or comments, feel free to come in now. Okay, nothing heard. Well, thank you, everybody, for participating, if you're still around, that is. And hope to hear you on tomorrow night, the Friday night edition. And we'll see you then. Back to you, Brian.
Oops, sorry about that. I thought you'd actually already closed the net down.